And we are live. Hey people, welcome to the Sports Therapy Association podcast. My name is Matt Phillips, creator of OneChatLive.com. And as always, this episode is being recorded live at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday evening on the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel and Facebook page. So tonight in episode 226, we bring you part 4 of our Focus on Business special, bringing you expert guests sharing hugely important advice on how to get the best out of you and your business, whether you work alone or in a team, or indeed you have your own team of healthcare professionals. In this episode entitled CRM Tools for Soft Tissue Therapists, which is Client Relationship Management, I will shortly be joined by my special guest, Ben Holeyman, Senior Product Specialist at 𝐻𝐻, who will be discussing anything and everything to do with client relationship management for soft tissue therapists. But first, a huge thank you to my special guests last week in part 3 of our Focus on Business month, who were Andy Thomas, Director of 𝐒𝐻𝐻, and business consultant Andy Hosgood of andyhosgood.co.uk, who gave us a fantastically thoughtful piece on collaboration over competition, something that is often not easy as it sounds, as we naturally seem to fear sharing too much with our competitors in the belief that we may be giving away our good ideas or maybe revealing personal issues and struggles. And as a result, as Andy's discussed last week, we tend to waste a lot of potential beneficial discussion that could really help not only our business, but also our mental health insecurities and danger of burning out. On February the 21st, and details of all of this are on the podcast in the show notes, the Andys are getting together to run their first ever business clinic management, in Manchester. And they're inviting MSK professionals, which includes you guys. It's not just allied health professionals. We talked about that last week. So inviting anybody who's got their own healthcare business to come along and talk about and share common challenges and goals and learn how that can help business growth and development. So that's on February the 21st in Manchester. So if you're around there and you're looking for taking your business forwards by chatting with others and sharing common issues, then that would be something to interest you. And like I say, all details are in the show notes on most podcast apps, and you can also find them at the sta.co.uk. Right then, people are coming through the door. If you are listening to podcasts, and thank you very much. But if you do want to join us live, then all you got to do is go along to the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel at 8 o'clock. And you will be able to join us there and obviously ask questions directly to our guests. Talking of which, mine has been very patient, waiting down below in the lobby. So without further ado, I'm just going to say thank you to those who have come through the door. Nikki Mansfield is saying evening all. When people do join us, if you do decide to join us live, then I can bring your comments and questions up onto the screen. And it's a good way of showing your logo and your face. Therapy in Huds, I guess that's Huddersfield. Thank you very much for joining us. You, whatever your name is, let us know your name in case I do know you. I'm just going to call you Therapy in Huds. Cecily's through the door as well. Cecily Hislop, good to see Cecily. Evening all. I had to Google what CRM meant. Oh, the shame. Don't worry. We're going to talk about that shortly, Cecily. It's a very good point. What the hell is CRM? I was thinking about that when I put this advert out, and I kind of did it on purpose to make a point, which I'm going to make very shortly. So thanks for bringing it up, Cecily. You've got such a great mind. Nikki says, oh, liking the new wavy background. Groovy, man. I did spend most of today designing a new look for the podcast. For one reason or another. So thank you for noticing, Nikki. It's made my day, actually, that someone does notice these little things. Cecily says, yeah, very smart. And Brian Huxley has come through the door and says, hi, everyone. So yes, thanks for joining us, people, and everyone else coming through now. And do feel free. This is a real example of where it'd be a great idea to ask questions of our expert speaker and share experiences, share your comments, especially if you have used 𝐻𝐻. It's not all about 𝐻𝐻 tonight, but obviously we've got somebody who's involved in the development of that. So we will be talking about 𝐻𝐻. If you do use it, it'd be lovely to know. And feel free to chime in. Right then, it's time. Let's kick it off. We are going to start now, episode 226, CRM Tools for Soft Tissue Therapists, with special guest Ben Holeyman, Senior Product Specialist at 𝐻𝐻 Software. Let's bring him up. Hey, Ben, how you doing?
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no, thanks for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm sorry I went over. I said it just be a short little introduction. I could see you down there almost falling asleep. So
it's all good.
Thank you for bearing with me.
No, it's always good to get a good introduction in, isn't it?
So, I mean, it is very nice as well. We were talking a little bit off air of how networking, particularly face-to-face events, can be so helpful, because at Therapy Expo this year, I happened to meet for the first time Katie Bell, who was on the show 2 weeks ago as part of the Focus on Business month we're doing. And then I was chatting with her and she sang your praises and Jane App's praises. And I thought, oh, surely he'll be busy. I'm sure a busy man like him. And putting two people together, you were free, which is fantastic. So yeah, lovely. The power of getting to know people and expanding the circle of your friends. So thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Yeah, absolutely. It kind of goes like that, doesn't it? Like you meet people and then you meet people that meet people that meet people, and the chain just keeps going. So we like to put ourselves out there into new spaces with new people. So yeah,
that's
no
fantastic.
problem with coming on.
Really appreciate it. So with that in mind, for people, I mean, I have been speaking to people around and there's many other people we know. I was surprised actually, through my ignorance, the amount of people who are using Jane App. Anne Marie Maxieri of the ST School we talked about earlier on, she's using it as well, and other people. I'll be keeping an eye on the comments to see if anybody else is using it. So maybe we could start by you telling us what Jane App is for those who aren't aware of it and what your role is with it.
Yes, so Jane App is an all-in-one kind of clinic management or business management software. We are multidisciplinary, so we serve everything from chiropractors, physios, massage therapists, sports therapists like yourselves in here. And it really goes broad across the board. There's hundreds of different disciplines that are currently using Jane. So we are an all-in-one clinic management system. We focus on like online booking, diary management, customer relationships, notifications, reviews. The long list goes on and on with the different kinds of things that we serve our customers with. But to encapsulate it into one sentence, it's a clinic management software / business management software.
Fantastic. Which ultimately, I was really pleased to see Cecily, our guest, say CRM. I had to Google that because we were talking again before, a little bit off air. Some people, I did this purposely with the title. Some people won't know what CRM stands for, but when you define it and say what it involves, like you have already, they're thinking, well, yeah, I do all of that. But it's kind of, I think that's an interesting topic because I understand people who hear acronyms like CRM and client relationship management, and particularly soft tissue therapists and healthcare professionals are going to be like, oh, that sounds very corporate. That's not what I do. I look after people. I'm not interested in all that sort of stuff. And that can be a therapist's downfall. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a CRM and a clinic management software are kind of two separate things, but there might be elements of both of those within different products that will be on the market. So we have some CRM elements within Jane. So customer relation / client relation, I like to say with CRM. You've got those kind of features where you can be sending stuff out to clients to keep them engaged. So, you can have elements of both in each product, but one is traditionally not the other and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So I'm hoping that tonight, a lot of things we talk about, people will realize they're doing already, but they could be doing better. Because again, it's something we talk about on the show a lot. Traditionally, soft tissue therapists, and I guess of quite a few allied health professionals, believe that if they want to get better, then they've got to learn some manual therapy technique, or they've got to get some other machine that goes bing into their clinic and that sort of stuff. When really, and we're noticing this so much over the last year, that to improve your business, you've got to get into the nitty gritty of what's happening in terms of client relationship software and things like that, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of health checking your own business. I think as practitioners, you can maybe spend a lot of time thinking about client health and client goals, but actually just looking a little bit under the surface as to your current processes with how you're doing things with those clients can be something that can elevate your business from here to here. So it's definitely good to kind of consider all of these things that might be working in the background that are going to go a lot further than what it might seem at face value.
Excellent. Right then, so we got an awful lot we could talk about. I mean, we are basically talking about how to run a successful business, which is quite a large kind of topic to get through in an hour. But I thought I've got a few things which I know through the podcast and through emails sent in that people are interested to hear about. The first thing I thought we'd talk about is a lot of therapists are still relying on paper, and their biggest fear of getting involved in moving to digital, apart from the price, is the extreme effort it's going to take to change all of their notes, especially if they've been going for a while. How much should they be scared about that? Is is there any ways of making it easier these days?
That is probably one of the biggest steps I think you can take, is coming from paper onto a software, because it's such a drastic difference between the two. It is a task in itself, and it might seem like you've got a mountain to climb and you're using software tools for the first time. You might be looking at a pile of paper on your desk, or, you know, we've even heard of people kind of like having dedicated rooms to store all paper in and stuff. But that is the biggest step you're going to take. So taking that first step to then get future success with that, I think, is the most important thing to keep in mind. Like, that's the biggest step you're going to take, and then it's small steps from that point in. But it is the most challenging one. I do appreciate that.
And have you come across in your experience of helping kind of therapists ways to make that a smaller job, or is it just a matter of getting down and doing it?
I mean, the great thing about it is that like your software, likely like ours will, you've got like an upload option. So if you want to bring paper into digital, it's not that you've got two separate strains of, these are my paper clients and these are my digital clients that I'm going to start with on this new software. You can take that paper, scan it in, then you've got a digital record of it, and then you can safely destroy that paper. That you've got that digital record. Like, we always are able to give like batch exports of all of this kind of stuff, and you've got ways of getting it out of the software. So if you ever did need a physical copy again, you can just export it and then you've got it. So over time, that big mountain of paper, it's kind of like a mountain, like I was saying before as well. It's quite an analogy. As you're scanning that stuff in, it's just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and it might take a couple of months, it might take a couple of weeks, it might take a couple of years for you to get through all of the paper you've got, but eventually that's going to be all digitalized, and then from that point you're thriving from that point in.
So for the technophobes out there, and there are a lot of them, some of them probably in this room, scanning it, so is that an expensive thing? Do you need to get someone else to do it, or these days with is it something you probably got in your computer you didn't even realize about?
It's not even in your computer. Everybody has one of these now. You can literally just take a photo of what you've got, lay it out on the desk, and then you can upload it into your software. It's literally as simple as that, like uploading a photo, same as you would do on social media, whatever it is. It's literally as simple as that. I know when I say scanning stuff in, you're kind of picturing like the old school, like lift up, put it down on the lid and have it face down. It's not like that anymore. But yeah, you can literally take pictures and then upload, which is user friendly for most people. Most people have a smartphone now.
Very true. I think that, I mean, tell me, people have joined us live, but I think that is a common wall that people would put up. I mean, people don't like change anyway. Therapists, they're tired, they're burned out, they're spending all their time trying to see patients. So the idea of giving themselves another job, if it can be that simple, bit by bit, scanning. And of course, this makes everything much safer as well. And in an era we live in with data protection and that, it's much more you can do to protect yourself and your business, I suppose, if it's digital as opposed to on paper.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is something to consider with whatever platform you decide to go with, to ensure that your data is going to be safe with that software company. Most companies should be able to provide you with a white paper that explains all the security specs, and to make sure that that's robust enough for all of your files. But yeah, it is something that over time can be alleviated from having these massive piles of paper to then getting them all in a digital form. The mental clarity that you'll feel after, I promise you, it'll be it'll be worth the initial stress of maybe going on to a digital platform.
That's really interesting as well. You've just said that, because, okay, imagine that we've convinced people, okay, apparently it's quite easy to scan these documents in. What sort of, in your experience, and you can obviously mention JNAP as well, but maybe in the development of JNAP, people are going to be worried again that some of this software is complicated and not user friendly. Is there a variety out? You haven't got to name anyone who does it, in your opinion, badly, but can some of this software be kind of not customer friendly in terms of the therapist and be a bit of a nightmare? Is there a variance?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like there will be some products on the market that suit some people great, and others that are not going to say that same person very great. Like we're never a one size fits all, so it is important to do your research and really go into different companies and vet those different options that you might have. But it really depends on, I think, who's founded and who's designed it. Like at JNAP, we're founded by a clinic owner, so they know what it's like running a business, and they know exactly what businesses need to address some of the issues that they'll be facing if they're not using a digital tool.
Fantastic. So yeah, I forgot to say this elephant in the room as well, which a few people asked me, why JNAP? What is it? Was some people think that I know that it's not, but obviously the assumption is that the person who started it was Jane. But how did they get that name?
It sounded like a friendly clinic receptionist. There was a lot of different names at the start. I won't go through all of them, but they landed on Jane App because it sounded like somebody who would be friendly, approachable, and helpful. Our kind of mission with everything that we do at Jane is just to help the helpers. So of course that's a broad spectrum of different people. So it's all geared towards making sure you all who are doing this great work out there have support from people like us in the background.
Fantastic. Okay. Brian Huxley has put in a comment here saying, I'm in the process of leasing with the folks at Jane. PMS for my students' use. PMS? Trying to think what PMS stands for. You have to help me out there, Brian. Oh no, PMS for my students' use, both for their classwork and for when they set up clinic. Fantastic. Yeah, there you go. Got somebody who's already with you there.
Absolutely. And if you've already started interacting with us, Brian, and speaking to the humans that we have, I'm sure you know that you can probably vouch for we are there to support in the background. And I think that is a really important element when choosing a software as well, is that you've got the right support in place. Nobody's gonna subscribe or purchase a software tool without with knowing everything about it. So having somebody there in the background that can guide you into the right areas and teach you how to use that software from the outset so that you're getting the most value out of it is, I think, paramount to somebody's success. And we give everybody, and I mean everybody, that time at Jane at the start.
Yeah, that's something I was going to ask you about as well, because I think there's always going to be times where any technology fails you a little bit. It's going to be, it could be connected with the actual software, it could be connections or something, whatever it is. So that's when it's really important to have somebody at the end of the phone who you know is going to answer you. And I think that can vary quite a lot with different types of companies and things out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Again, people who have joined us live, let us know. You don't have to mention the name of the companies, but let us know if you ever have problems with technology letting you down. It may have been something that looked cheap and great on the surface value, but you couldn't get hold of anybody when you needed them, or it kept breaking down or something like that. Brian Huxley, patient manager software, of course. We've got all these different acronyms. That's why I paused for a second. I'm going to have to edit that pause on the podcast now because it'll be silent for 3 seconds. PMS.
There is so many of them now. They're different abbreviations for things, but yeah, thanks for clarifying, Brian.
Patient manager software. Thanks, Brian. So, I mean, let's get some examples of what client relationship management should do. What about, for example, one of the typical things would be appointments. So setting up appointments. How can having some software obviously help you with that? But where's the variance as well? What do you think a bit of software should help you with in order to save you time and make that more efficient for you and the client?
Yeah, I mean, different people that run different businesses are going to want different things from scheduling. We offer both, say, like an online booking and an in-app booking, so like an admin booking option. It might be that you just want to use one of those. But ultimately what somebody's going to want from this is to alleviate as much of the manual work as possible. So sending them an automatic confirmation once it's booked in, sending them a text when it gets nearer to the appointment, sending them maybe a reminder email, sending them their forms that they might need to fill out. If you can have your tool or whatever software you use take care of a lot of those manual processes, that can reclaim a bit more of your time so that you can continue to do what you love, which is spending time with patients, treating patients, clients. So yeah, I would say focusing on automation is one of the most important things with scheduling. Of course, there's never going to be a system where it's fully automated. It's a dream world that we all live in, where we'd have a system that does absolutely everything for you, like admin side bookings where you're putting people in yourself. It's never going to be able to read your mind of who you want to book in, but having a fluid process that equally you like looking at as well. I think like design is very important as well. You're going to be spending a lot of time in here as a practitioner, so you need to like how it looks as well. As simple as something that might seem, like using it day to day, you need to be pleased when you're kind of looking at it as well. But automation, I think, is the most important thing.
And that's why I guess, because that brings us on to one of the other barriers, as well as the idea of shifting from paper to digital. There's also the barrier of cost. People presume that if anything's going to give you advantages, then it's going to cost. And the more it helps you, the more it's going to cost. But I think what we were, again, talking a bit off air, but what you've just said, the cost is where you have to weigh up how much time you're going to be saving and the stress you're going to be saving and the clients you're going to be actually booking successfully instead of missing them, for example, or causing a poor relationship, and then they're going to go and badmouth you. So how does JNAP deal with that? How does JNAP say, I mean, you already mentioned a few, but what are some of the key ways that people can save time?
Yeah, so with the pricing and how much value that brings, you mean?
Yeah.
So like pricing is quite broad in the industry. You'll find some relatively affordable tools. You'll find some that are on the more expensive side. I always go by what we've said just there, which is like it tends to be that the more expensive tools bring the most value. So striking somewhere in the middle where you're evaluating what you kind of need from it and then what your budget is, of course, is where you should be kind of positioning yourself on pricing. But if you're kind of looking for something that's quite complex and you're expecting maybe a really affordable price for it, that's where it might not align. So it tends to be that you get what you pay for with software tools.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I think, and I asked you before if this is okay. I think so. People have got an idea. If you listen to the podcast, you might want this might be a time to actually go and look at YouTube. So I'm going to bring up as a screenshot, and thank you for allowing me to do this.
No, that's
okay. Everybody should say, yeah, bring up my prices. It's fine. We're transparent. But some people are like, no, don't bring the prices up. That'll be the end of the pitch.
Yeah.
But I think with Jane, you're totally transparent, and as we'll see in a second, there's something there for everybody. So I'm going to bring this up on the screen. People in the room, I'd be interested for you to have a little look at these and see how it compares to what you are paying currently. Even if it's more than just say it, you haven't got to name your own company, naming and shaming here, but it'd be interesting to have a look. So I'll bring this up here and I'll put it on a larger screen for us so we can see it. So talk us through the different, you've got 3 different kind of categories there. How does that work and what do people get for their money then?
Yes, so we do 3 different tiers of pricing, as you can see on the share here. So they go from the balance all the way up to the thrive, with the practice sitting somewhere in the middle. These are priced depending on what kinds of features are available on each plan. So the balance plan would be designed for sole practitioners and for those that are very part-time. There's also a limitation on features on there, so we don't include online booking or SMS reminders. So this is designed for someone that's launching an entirely new business, might not have many clients yet, or working on a very part-time basis, so that tool is still accessible to them at that price point. If we move then on to the practice plan, this is where a few more features get involved here. So it includes all of our standard features, including the unlimited SMS reminders, which you might need to pay for with other companies, and it also introduces online booking so that you can get more bookings through that other medium of booking. There is also the option to add additional staff here. So if you are working within a team or association, then you can see these plus amounts just underneath for a half license and a full license. We try and price this fairly depending if somebody's part-time or full-time. So that's why there is a split on that half and full license. And the split is 24 hours per week on that, what we kind of say. And then moving on to the Thrive plan, they all build on one another. So we can see the Thrive plan there. It just includes more of our advanced features, such as like tagging, scheduling features, resources if you're using pieces of equipment and need to block, and these kinds of things, marketing tools, Google Analytics. More of the in-depth stuff is included on the Thrive plan. So the practice is, as it says on the tin, it's for those that just want to practice and have something that's going to manage their current workload. And then the Thrive plan is really going to accelerate you in the right direction with all those kind of growth tools that are included on that one.
Excellent. So is the idea then, if you're on the balance monthly fee, then does that suggest that you might need to use that in conjunction with something else which you're paying for as well? Or is the idea that that's pretty much everything you'd need?
Yeah, so the balance plan is designed for those that are just stepping in to their role as a practitioner. So it might be for those people even that, might have been on paper before and they're thinking, okay, this is a massive leap, and this is kind of like a small step in the right direction. We see that some people come onto that balance plan, they might spend a few months on there, get used to some of the core features that we have available on all the plans, and then they build up to the practice. And then it might be a couple of months, they're like, okay, we really want to accelerate our marketing here, and then they move on to the Thrive plan. The good thing about this is that it's kind of flexible, that you can choose which one you want to be on and then jump between plans as well.
And that's useful. So you can slide up and down depending on what you need. And
Absolutely. So sometimes we see people's needs change at very quick notice, and you can literally make the update in your account yourself. You don't even need to contact a human to do that. So you can always have access to the things that you want access to on demand.
sounds good. A common question we get when we talk about these sort of software systems is, does it integrate with? Do you find in your experience of working with customers that JNAP is used in conjunction with other things which it doesn't try and replace? What does it work well with?
Yeah, so we do have some integrations available. So we have PhysiTrack available if you want to do any like exercise prescription. We have Stripe available for any like integrated payments. So you can take like payments through your online booking site, send out balances for people to pay with their card, that kind of thing. We have the Google Analytics integration, like I mentioned, so that you can track conversions through your online booking site, so you can know where to focus your marketing. So there are a few different integrations that we have, including MailChimp as well. So if you want to do any like blast marketing, email marketing, newsletters, that kind of thing, you can sync your Jane audience with your MailChimp audience as such. So that stays up to date directly from your Jane account. But yeah, it does connect with some tools that we introduced to Jane very intentionally.
Very cool. And is that something that you find your competitors don't do? Is that something which is lacking from other competition out there, or?
It's quite a norm, to be honest, within the industry for software tools to connect to other software tools. Quite often the kind of thought in the industry is, if a tool exists, then, you know, why would it kind of be like built from the ground up if there is a tool that kind of aligns? There is also a conversation around like values as well as companies, and like, what are your security specs, what are our security specs, that kind of thing. That's why we're very intentional with what we introduce to Jane, because we're dealing with client data here. We obviously need to make sure that's as robust as possible. But yeah, I'd say it's quite a norm in the industry that people do connect tools to other pieces of software. And yeah.
That's cool. That's great. What about another thing that somebody mentioned to me the other day was changing from one bit of software to the other. Okay, that's another barrier which some people, maybe rightfully so, believe if they're invested into one bit of kit and everything's on there. Can that be an issue depending on where you're going from and to, or is it something that Jane's aware of?
Yes, so we've done imports from like lots of different softwares. I mean, lots and lots. Technically, we can import from any software as long as the file type that can be exported from that can match what we can work with, which is traditionally a CSV file or an Excel file. Most softwares will give you that as an export option. That transition can take just a couple of days, really. Whenever you're ready to sort of click the button and go is when we'll be ready for it. So you just schedule a date with us. It's just a case of you export it all from your current software provider. You'll have those files on your computer. You upload it through a window within your Jane account itself, and then our team on our side of things, we have an imports team that are dedicated to that at Jane. So we call them the import wizards because they're very good at what they do. They take all that data and then populate it all in your Jane account for you, so it's ready for you. Brilliant. So it's a very stress-free kind of transition period, because all you need to do, if you think about it, is just go to your current software, take all your data and then upload it, and then we take it from there. You don't actually need to do the physical importing part. We do that for you.
That's quite cool then. So a lot of the kind of walls and barriers which traditionally people think, oh no, I can't do this, it's going to be a nightmare. Actually, I mean, you're aware of this, you're the development guy, so you know what people struggle with and you've kind of deal with it and present a solution. So that's cool. Yeah. Brian Huxley has said here, Brian, who's involved, you guys, I think the price of the Jane app is very reasonable. It's mainly because there are so many practitioners using it now. Are things going well then? A lot of practitioners using Jane app?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we're over 50,000 businesses worldwide now use Jane app, and we've got a growing presence here in the UK as well. So yeah, I do think there's some truth in what you're saying there, Brian. And also we also price the plans very intentionally too. So we try and price this in a way that it's going to cost you around 1 to 2 clinic appointments per month. And that way it stays affordable for all involved. And then obviously you might have noticed there on that pricing page that the add-on fee for the extra practitioners gets a little bit smaller than that standard fee. So the more practitioners you add, the more you grow, the more affordable it becomes. And that's kind of the model that we've implemented, whilst also giving people that flexibility to have less features for a more affordable price.
Amazing. Sounds great. Okay. By the way, this isn't, we're not doing a sales pitch here for Jane app at all, really. What we're talking about is things that people should have. And the fact is Jane app does provide them. So actually, I might ask you a bit of a sting of a question, just to show that this isn't just an advert. we kind of agree that what software you go for will depend on your business and like your target audience, your budget, and all that. Who might JNAP not suit? This is your bosses are gonna kill you for this, but who might JNAP not suit? Who must you admit that this might not be the one for you? Give me a
No,
scenario.
yeah, we're totally empowered as people that are building Jane together to wholly advise people if it's not good for them. Like, we would never want anybody using Jane app that we know is not a good fit for them, because ultimately they're going to have a bad experience. They're going to tell us they're having a bad experience. We're going to have a bad experience supporting them, and then ultimately they're going to cancel it anyway. So we can avoid all that from the get-go by signposting other companies that might be good for them. In terms of someone that might not be such a great fit for us at the moment, we see aesthetics, like medical aesthetics, as a not a great fit discipline. There are other products on the market at the moment that serve those features a lot better. And also anybody that's working too medically, so we're talking like GPs here, aren't a great fit for Jane, just because of the volume of, say, like letter writing and prescriptions that they might need to dispense. That's where it tends to not be a great fit. But on the whole part, we're a good fit for a lot of different disciplines, and your community included in this.
That's a great answer. Let's go back to our community. Let's talk about some other things which people have written in and kind of said. Note taking was a big thing. Again, note taking can be particularly time consuming, especially if you're using paper. I think maybe can it be quicker note taking if you're using some software rather than relying
100%. Yeah. And it might even be that you get on software demos with companies like ours and somebody talks you through what's available in terms of your charting or record taking, and you might think, this is great, but I only see it saving me a couple of seconds. And when people raise that, I push back on it. I say, that couple of seconds over 20 appointments this week, over the number of weeks and then months that you're going to be saving, just frees up that extra time for you to either choose whatever you want to do and have a better work-life balance. If you want to book more clients in, then that's great. But all of these kind of features that are in that charting aspect, they're all designed for speed on our side of things, to make sure that things are, one, notated accurately, but two, as efficiently as possible.
So how would you talk me through? Imagine I'm a little bit of a technophobe, and I've understood that. I mean, I can type. Okay, I've got a computer, but how would it work? How would notes work better with a computer, and what would happen to the data which makes it better for you rather than just putting it on paper?
Yeah. So on paper, you're going to be ticking things, perhaps writing things off of a pre-selected kind of template that you might have on the page. It might be that you're literally doing it on line paper, drawing and writing paragraphs, whatever it is. That's taking a lot of manual work for you to move your hand across the paper. Whereas on a tool, what you're likely to have is a template. That's what we have anyway. So you can drop a template in. You might have multiple different templates for different session types, different types of client, even different staff members, for example. You could drop in a template and then everything on there will be preset for you. So it might be a set of checkboxes. You see the question, you check the box, it's done. Rather than writing a sentence that's going to take you that 10 seconds longer to do, it's all just there for you to click, click, click. It's all done. Even things like a body chart, you might spend 5 minutes sketching out a body chart on your paper and, notating areas that you've particularly worked on in the last couple of sessions. You can just have a body chart there and you can click on it, and then it's going to give you an annotation box below. So it is just a lot quicker to have a tool there that is going to show you the information that you need, that you would have created manually on paper, and then fill it out as fast as possible as well.
Brilliant. And I guess one of the things which I know I'm guilty of, and I think quite a few people are guilty of, is if you're working alone, then you're going to have the issue that you can't read what you've written, because normally it's in a rush. You want to go home and you've drawn something which made loads of sense at the time with little letters, and it won't make sense. And then even worse, if you're working in a team and you're off and another clinician needs to take your notes and they've got to be able to decipher what you've written. So I guess you get better standardization, I suppose, with some kind of online software.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because as I said, you can share those templates with other people. It doesn't even need to be people within your clinic with us. Like, you can share it to a library and then it can pop up on someone else's account for you if you want to share those between different people that you know in the industry. Something else that I tend to show people during a demo as well is dictation. So we're able to dictate into all of the kind of typable fields in that area of Jane. So I tend to illustrate this as kind of like, if you've got 2 minutes between clients, you might want to put something on the page, but you don't have time to go through absolutely everything. You can start your dictation, walk away, go and make your coffee, speak your notes while you're boiling the kettle and stirring whatever's in your cup, and then come back, and you've got something on the page to work from to do a full note on later on. So that's a really powerful tool that you can use software for as well, which you're not going to be able to do on paper. It's going to be a quick little scribble, hope you can read it later, and then come back to it and write your full note then.
That's very good. I mean, a lot of people probably don't even realize again that, you can dictate and that is recorded as a voice message, or is it recorded to text as you speak it through on the notes, or both?
Sorry, what was that?
So when you're speaking into it, is that then turned into text as you speak it into the notes, or is it
it's voice to text? So you're taking your headset away from your computer or whatever device you're working on. You can go in the next room, keep speaking into a headset, and then it'll appear on the page for you for when you return to your desk or wherever it is that you're working.
Very cool. I'm hoping that listeners are thinking that could actually be really useful. So literally, you could be washing your hands, making a cup of tea in between your clients, and making important notes which you want to have access to next time. Whilst you're doing that.
And quite often
lining up the clinic. Very cool.
And quite often you can reiterate it much better if you can say what's just happened in the last hour in that session, rather than, okay, I've got this template, let me just have a click through this. I've only got halfway down here and my client's here, so I'm gonna have to make myself a little note here that I might understand later. Just speaking it clearly is a game changer for quite a lot of people.
Is that something which is widely available now thanks to kind of the technology in different apps? Is that something which Jane kind of specializes in or is very proud of?
So we've always had that. It is available with other softwares. It's not exclusive by any means. The way that things are going at the moment is kind of AI, and I'm sure this might have been discussed on this podcast before, even kind of the way the industry is going and swinging with that. We're working on our own kind of AI voice to text as well. So the idea of it is going to be that you can get your client's consent, you can pop your phone on the desk while you have an initial consultation with them. It's going to record all of your audio, and then it's going to convert it into a summary for you with all the key points that the conversation's been picked up on.
Amazing. You've mentioned a couple of times, I'll bring this up now actually, you've mentioned a couple of times a demo. I just want to bring this up on the screen as well. People who are listening, we'll get your comments, by the way. Hey Charlotte, thank you so much for joining. Charlotte from Therapy Expo is here as well. Actually, I can't say that. Let's bring up Charlotte now. Charlotte says, really great to shine a spotlight on Jane App, ! We love hosting you at Therapy Expo and always hear such amazing positive comments about the platform. Thank you, Charlotte. Good to see you here. Yeah, amazing. It is great to see you there. And again, we were just saying, Charlotte, in case you weren't here at the beginning, I only know or met Ben because he knows Katie, and I only know Katie because of Therapy Expo. So this is what we were saying. A conference like Therapy Expo, which encourages people to come face to face, even though you have to pay for it, obviously, what you get in return and the connections and the networking you make when you meet somebody is much larger than just emails and that sort of stuff. So thank you, Charlotte, and good to see you here. Right, let's bring this up on the screen then. People, if you go to, let's make this big. If you go to jane.app, that's easy to remember. Then you'll notice at the top there, it does say book a demo. So what does that involve? Because there's not a free trial as such of the system, is there? You prefer to actually have a Zoom meeting and show people what it's all about?
Yeah, 100%. So if you click on that book a demo, it's going to take you to a kind of localized landing page. So you'll be able to select UK in there for us peeps over here. And that's going to send you straight through to a Calendly link to book a Zoom call with us. So it'll be on Zoom. It'll be up to 45 minutes. That tends to be enough time to show you all of like the core functionality that you're going to need. We do a bit of discovery during that as well, so we can really listen to your kind of business needs and what you're kind of looking for, what might not be working so well for you at the moment, and just kind of dig into how we could best support you with that. So you can go on the website and arrange those if it does interest you at all. It's just in the top right there. Very
cool. Definitely something people should consider getting involved in, because that is a free chance to talk to. I love the way, I can't remember if I read this or heard it on one of the podcasts, but you don't really have a sales team, do you? You have just a customer service team, which I think is a really nice distinction to make.
Yeah, it's very intentional that we don't have a sales team, because sales just, it's a little bit of a word where it makes you think negatively if you're being sold to. We don't ever sell, Jane, to people. We just come on calls with people so that they can investigate if it's going to be for them and provide answers to their questions. Ultimately, you're going to know all of your businesses the best out of anyone in the world, and you shouldn't be told by any company that this is the best tool for you, because Jane might be a great fit for you. It might not be great for somebody else. And that's your time to kind of investigate with us, and we can point you in the right direction, even if it's not towards us. we'll tell you if you're a great fit for Jane. We'll also tell you if you're not a good fit for Jane. And we're very upfront about that during that demo phase. And I think people appreciate that transparency.
Very cool. Definitely wise words. Great. Nikki Mansfield, thanks for commenting, people. Nikki Mansfield says, I like Jane app. I like it a lot. I love the way Nikki speaks.
Good. Thanks, Nikki.
I like it a lot. I'm with �Clinico and I absolutely love it. It does everything I need to. It does everything I need to. Looks easy interface. It doesn't do monthly subscriptions. How well does Jane app do them?
When you say monthly subscriptions, Nikki, I'm guessing that you don't mean your monthly fee to pay the company, and you're thinking more like a membership style thing where people are going to be paying you monthly and it's going to be going on a rolling basis and they might get 1 or 2 sessions a month for that. Is that what you're referring to? I think it is.
You can come back, Nikki, if you like. Well, let's presume it is, and then we'll wait for Nikki to come back and see what she says.
Yeah, put it in the comments, Nikki, if it's not. But I'll work under the pretense that's what you mean. So yes, we do offer that. It's on our Thrive plan. So it's one of those recurring revenue features. That's why it's on the Thrive plan. So essentially, you can put somebody's card details straight into the software. Okay, great. She's confirmed. Memberships. So you can put the card details straight into the software. That's going to send that those details over to Stripe, and they store all those details. And then you're able to do either a weekly, a monthly, or a yearly membership for a specified period of time. So it could be, say, for example, £50 per month, and they have 1 session within that month to use, and they can book that in with you through your online booking, whether it's in person only, like admin bookings. And it's kind of on a use it or lose it basis. So this is a way of you generating revenue coming through as like a guarantee, whilst also delivering service in return. So yeah, it's a good way to get regular revenue so that you can predict what is going to be coming. And you can also put like contract periods on those as well if you want to. So it might be that you tell the client, okay, there's a 2-month, 3-month commitment on this, and then you can cancel it after that. Of course, you can cancel these at any point. There's always that fine line, isn't there, in this kind of space? Like, we need to be generating revenue because everybody needs to make a living, everybody needs to make money. But also knowing when enough is enough for a client and when we've got them to kind of optimum health is really important as well. So that's why there is also that cancel option on there for those kinds of things.
That's great. Really good question, Nikki. Very cool.
Yeah, great question.
This is why it's so great that you people joining us live, because you're giving us real life questions about, questions from the shop floor, if you like, of real issues. So thank you. And anybody else got any questions, then do feel free to jump in. I don't like in a way. I'm really the same way CRM kind of sends a little shiver down my spine. If that's very corporate. I don't know why I was born anti-corporate. I don't know what it is. But I recognize that can be the downfall, because it is a business, and therapists complain about not being able to make ends meet, and they have to end up burning out and giving up the business, which is a shame for them and their clients. But another kind of talk I like and words I like is the idea of an onboarding experience and an offboarding experience.
Yeah.
Because I think that, again, it might sound a little bit corporate, but it encapsulates, again, makes us think about what we should be doing and where we could be working better with our relationship with our clients. So yeah, tell me what the difference is and what kind of those two categories involve.
Yeah, so an onboarding experience would be when somebody first contacts the business for any reason. It could just be discovery. It could be, asking about services, how you support them to the point of them accessing the business in this case. So that'd be your onboarding period. And then your offboarding period would be when they've decided, okay, maybe I'm at optimum health now. Maybe I need to take a step back. Maybe I don't need to access this business anymore. And that kind of lasting impression that you can give to that person before they then leave the business. And I would say that both are as equally as important as the other. Of course, we all want to make like great first impressions on people. So the sentiment tends to be that there's a big effort on onboarding, because at the start we want people to be accessing business and keeping them engaged so that they continue to access. That offboarding period is as important as that onboarding period, in my opinion, because who they then refer you to and during their offboarding period, once they don't access your business anymore, is going to be what's most important, because you want to make a lasting impression with people where they're going to recommend you to new people that they're going to be speaking to as well, so that you can get regular recurring business from those referrals as well. And you might even decide to incentivize that as well. Like CRMs, softwares have ways of you tracking this kind of thing so that you can grab referral sources as people are coming in during that onboarding period. And you might decide to incentivize it. So, you know, even just like creating like little experiences for people during their offboarding, maybe like, you know, giving them a refer a friend voucher, something like that, so that you're continuing to get new people through the door as well, even as existing people are leaving. It doesn't need to be okay, my numbers are going down because someone's leaving. You can see that as an opportunity to open up to now new people coming through the door, and hopefully more new people than are leaving, if that's the capacity that you can have for it.
There's so many ideas in what you're saying. I always say I can hear people writing things down in the notes here. I hope people are taking notes here. Listen to it slowly again, because there's so many ideas which therapists might not have thought about there, and ideas which are made so much simpler by using some good quality software. You mentioned kind of reviews and that, and monitoring what people take away with them after they've left. So yeah, can you elaborate a little bit on that? So what it all ties in with Google reviews, it kind of sends out messages asking, because that can be tricky as well, can't it? It's always embarrassing. I remember, again, a little bit in the old days when I was working as part of the clinic, someone's about to go and you kind of want to go, oh, can you take one of these and write us a Google review, please? And the next person's waiting and you don't want to kind of do it. So how can software help with that?
Yeah, so Jane, I can speak for Jane, has the ability to send out review questionnaires to your client. They can leave you a star rating and a comment. That will be your internal review. So their internal review might look very different to what their Google review might be for you. Of course, people tend to be more honest when it's an internal review versus an external review. So they do have that option then to go over to Google and leave you a review there. So it's not that the two are directly affiliated with one another, but they'll receive that review prompt, give you a star rating, so it's nice and easy for them to fill out as well. Nobody really wants to open up a review questionnaire that's as long as your arm and tick all of these kinds of things as soon as they've left the business as well, and they're not going to be accessing that anymore. So yeah, just a star rating, little comment if they decide to do that, and then they've got that option to then go and support you publicly on Google, so you can link your Google business ID to your Jane account, and that will be where it's sent. So they can go and do that afterwards for you. But yeah, reviews are everything. Like, I know that I'm, for one, whenever I access new businesses, I'm on Google looking through all of the reviews. Of course, you'll find a few bad ones in there. You might find mostly good ones if you decide to go with that business. But I think we just do it naturally as humans. We want to know what other people's experience are as validation before we then take the plunge to then go and access that ourselves. It's the tried and tested kind of thing, isn't it? So something like that, where it's going to direct people over there to just help you out, and that's just working in the background. You don't need to trigger anything manually. You don't have to think, oh, I need to send this person this. It's just going to do it automatically for you, and then it's going to build up your kind of review catalog on Google in the background of things. And you might log on to Google one day and you think, ah, great, I've got loads of reviews. Wonder where they came from. They're all people flooding over from your software onto there.
That's very cool. And I like the distinction. That's a really important point, I think, between internal reviews and external reviews, because when you kind of encourage your client, leave us a review on Google, would you? You're kind of saying to them, oh, can you help run our business for us and get new people in, please? Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And it's kind of almost like emotional blackmail, the kind of thing of, you know, I've helped you now go and help somebody else, you know. But the internal review, I guess, is the one where you're going to learn about how to maybe tweak your business or make sure a customer doesn't go away and badmouth you or that sort of stuff. So
yeah, it's a way of you silently receiving feedback. Like, I'm sure everybody's done this when they've gone on to a Google reviews page and there's an absolute spat between somebody that's left a bad review and the business owner, and they're going back and forth in the Google review comments. Like, that's not what you want. So that internal review option gives you that ability to then reach back out to them and say, okay, I saw that you left us these comments. Really appreciate you doing that internally. It's a way of you silently receiving feedback that you can implement without it being so public for everybody to see. So that is why we kind of generally separate the two.
Very cool. I'd like to know, people who've joined us live, as you're here and you're working clinicians, have you got a system of getting internal reviews, of giving people the opportunity to show basically you care on a one-to-one basis of how it went for them, rather than just letting them walk out the door? That'd be interesting. Let us know if you joined us live what you do. Nikki's come back about a question and said, yeah, I definitely need to be able to set membership T&Cs and still be able to work around them at my discretion. Thanks for elaborating.
You're most welcome. Yeah, sounds like it'd be a good fit for what you're kind of looking for.
Excellent. We got time, were we? 8:50. What was one of the other areas I wanted to mention as far as CRM? Accounting, that's another thing which can take up accounting and reporting, that sort of stuff, can take up a lot of people's time. Leave it to lastminute.com. How can client CRM tools in general, and Jane as well, how can they help with that?
Yeah, so most softwares will have like a reporting function on them. It's kind of like makes core features on softwares for like business management, that you're going to be able to see all of your revenue, what invoices been generated, what's outstanding, all those kind of standard things. We contain them all in a reports tab, so it's nice and easy to navigate. And a lot of the reports as well, there's a link on there. If you're unsure of what the data is telling you, we have a big anthology that we call the Get Jane Guide, and it can take you over there and tell you exactly what you're seeing on the page. In terms of like accounting, like invoices, and you might be using like a separate accounting software, because your clinic management software isn't going to be able to do everything that a traditional accounting software is going to be able to do. So you do have an export option on our reports as well, so you can take them out to CSV, and then you can upload those as an import option onto something like, say, Xero, where you can populate all of the fields on there, and then you've got that raw data to then work with in another software. But yeah, generally most software tools will have like a reporting function on them, and it will break it down into, say, like patient data, appointment data, billing data, all these kinds of separate things, and then how they all interact together. Your reporting functions can help you with that. It's a good way of you, as I said before, like health checking the business as well. How much revenue have we done this month versus last month? How many new patients have we seen? How many existing patients have we seen? How many people came through on a referral? Like, these are the kinds of things where you'd have to spend a lot of time fine combing through like all of your manual records that you keep, whether you're WhatsApping clients, whether you're putting them into an external calendar that isn't fit for purpose for like healthcare. Yeah, it can do a lot of that stuff for you, and keep it all organized in one place for you. You've got ultimate control of your data in there.
Very cool. I guess that's as useful for the solo kind of worker who's just looking after their own business, and for somebody who's running a team, because they can work out how individually how members of the team are performing with respect to all of those.
Yeah, and we try and design Jane in a way that it functions as a member of your team. Like, it's a coincidence that like kind of it's called Jane as well, and it's kind of like humanized in that way as a name. But you know, it's a privilege to have staff and to have people helping you. Not everyone's in that position to be able to take people on, so Jane can be your friend in that sense, that it can take care of some of those guesswork that you're going to be doing with some of your manual processes. And yeah, depending on which one you want to go for, it's kind of how helpful do you want Jane to be.
The name is growing on me massively.
Yeah.
As we speak. No, it's great. Lovely ideas. Right. Look, it's 8:53. So I guess we should let people know. We've talked about the website and the free demo. There's also a very popular Facebook kind of community, which people can go in and join. And obviously that's a great place to talk to fellow therapists, and kind of the trust tree thing.
Yes. Yes, our Facebook community isn't exclusively Jane customers either. So anybody that's listening to this call, if you join that, it's just a space that you can connect with other people that are in your space as well. Share ideas, share, okay, and with this software, what can Jane do? That kind of thing. It doesn't even need to be software related. It could just be any kind of discussion topic on there that you want to bring. You can request to become part of the Facebook community. We invite everybody to that.
That's very cool. That's a very useful place to check out. And it's very nice, because if you want to find Jane anywhere across social media, then just look for Jane Runs Clinics. It's the handle. You'll find that on Facebook. You'll find it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You find it on Instagram and Twitter. I found it earlier on as well.
We also do have a unique kind of Instagram for our UK community as well. So that one's at @JaneApp_UK. And you'll see my face on there as the most recent post. So you'll know you're in the right place.
Fantastic. Amazing. Well, look, thank you so much for joining us, Ben. It's been, educational. And I think it's just been a wake-up call, hopefully, a lot of listeners of, I could do that. Just a lovely idea of, that would be easy for me. And hopefully a confidence booster for people who have put up these kind of walls of, that's going to be too complicated, it's going to be too difficult, and that sort of stuff. So
100%. Yeah, I think it's got some good topics being discussed here. I think we've delved into the kind of surface level of a demo, and then kind of scratching underneath as well at some of the kind of key issues that us within this industry face, and then kind of what value a software tool can bring as well. So it's been really insightful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Right, people. I'm just thinking you should all go and have a look at that demo if you're not using it already. But there seems to be quite a few people. If you're an STA member, for example, you can keep this conversation going in the STA member area. There seems to be quite a few members here who are using it. So it could be something you can discuss in your coffee chats and things like that. But yeah, thanks again, Ben, for giving us your time.
Thanks, Matt. Cheers.
Right then. What a great way to end our business focus on business month. Fantastic. So relevant on the shop floor. We've had some great 4 episodes. I encourage you to check them all out. They're all going to be on YouTube. They're already there if you want to watch the visual stimulating version of it, or you can check them obviously out in all popular podcast apps. If you do enjoy the podcast, then just to remind you, please do remember to subscribe and leave a rating. It just helps the good word of Ben here get out to more people. It's as simple as that. If you do share it and just put little stars against it, 5 is the best number I find, then it just helps it appear higher in the Google search, which is how, rightfully or wrongfully, it's how information is disseminated these days. So do please spend some time to do that. If you're on an iPhone, it takes moments. It takes a second just to hit that 5-star and leave a little thanks. Great guys. And if you've got any questions, then probably use YouTube. That's the best place to keep the conversations going, just because we do a great session every week. We've done 226 now. So there's a lot of CPD there for you, and there's still relevant stuff. So if you've got any questions, you listen to the podcast, go over to YouTube, go to the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel, and just type a question in there. I monitor it myself and other people as well, and we'll be sure to answer you. And if it's a question we can't answer, then we'll contact the guest in particular, and we'll get an answer back from them. So keep the conversation going, please. Right, so what are we doing next week? Next week is going to start off February already. So much for Happy New Year. That's all history now. We're firmly into 2025. And we're going to be starting a focus on women's health, which again is something which is not just for women. Obviously, if anything, it's probably more for men as well, because you're male therapists, because half of your clients are women. And the more we look into it, the more we realize that you need to be treating and thinking of different things depending on what your client walks in with. If they are female, you've got to have different alarm bells going off and different questions and different considerations. So we're going to have a whole month devoted to women's health in February. And to give you an idea of the flavor of things, part 1 is going to be with the wonderful Siobhan O'Donovan, who was at Therapy Expo last year as well. And she is going to be talking about avoiding the booby traps of breast weight management. So we really are starting off the month on a topic which, again, is something which isn't talked about enough. And it really needs to be, as you will find out. If you were at Therapy Expo last year, then you will have heard everyone talk about Siobhan in the Isles. It was a fantastic talk and such an eye-opener. And so that's going to be next Tuesday. If you listen to the podcast, you want to join us for that and ask questions directly, then, as I've said, just go along to the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel at 8 o'clock. And you can even set a timer. Once I book it on in a few days' time, click it and it'll give you a reminder. Or just keep listening to the podcast. If you do listen to the podcast, the only payment I require is for you to leave a rating and a review. That's all. Thank you very much. Right, Ben, it's been a pleasure. Really nice to meet you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and everything.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Guys who joined us live, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Sir Glenn Murphy, MBE, says, well done, guys. Thank you, Sir Glenn. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And everybody who joins us live, it's so nice to get questions from the shop floor. So keep that coming. It's one of the most common thanks we get, feedback for the podcast, is even though I couldn't make it live, I love the fact it is recorded live because we get great questions. So thank you guys who joined us live. Appreciate it. And hopefully we will see some of you joining us live next Tuesday on the Sports Therapy Association podcast. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye.